Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to some pretty unsettling territory. We're talking about those real-life moments, when someone's behavior shifts from just odd, maybe quirky, to genuinely threatening.
Yeah, and these aren't just campfire stories. These experiences, whether they happen with strangers or, sometimes more disturbingly, people we thought we knew, they give us these chilling glimpses into just how unpredictable people can be.
Exactly. So we're going to unpack some of these stories today, not just for the scare factor, though some are definitely scary, but to understand the human responses.
Yeah.
The intuition, the red flags maybe we miss.
Right, because these narratives, they come from all over shared apartments, foreign cities, and they really offer some critical insights into psychology, how important gut feelings are, and frankly, how we navigate just basic personal safety.
Our goal here is to look for those patterns, the less obvious lessons, maybe help sharpen awareness for those warning signs. Signs that pop up when trust breaks down or, sanity seems to fray. Okay, so let's start where we're supposed to feel safest, home. But what happens when that feeling of safety is violated by someone who crosses that line from just being a weird roommate to being in actual danger?
It's a really common scenario, unfortunately.
Yeah, this first one comes from Florida back in 2016. The narrator and her boyfriend, Max, they needed a roommate. Florida apartment, expensive, you know the drill. They find this guy, Dan. He's 22. But the narrator says his mentality was like 12. And she got a bad feeling about him right away. Just something felt off.
But the boyfriend didn't see it?
Nope. Max and others kind of brushed it off. But Dan's behavior, it went downhill fast. Loud music, late night parties, just zero respect for the space. And later, this is chilling, they found out he had mugshots for shoplifting and had threatened the narrator before.
Wow. So the red flags were there, just ignored initially.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But then it gets worse. One Wednesday night, the narrator sees Dan coming out of their apartment yelling about a robbery.
A robbery.
But she goes inside, and nothing looks disturbed, except her Wii U is gone. But her other consoles, just as valuable, still there. And Dan, he only claims his PS4 is missing. Very specific.
Okay, that's immediately suspicious.
Right. And as she's trying to call Max, Dan yells at her, "Do whatever you need to do because the police are on their way." Which she realized later probably meant he'd already had time to, hide stuff.
Giving himself an out, covering his tracks.
Exactly. So the police show up. Dan agrees to a car search at first, but then he disappears. Says he needs his ID from the apartment, never comes back.
Vanishes.
Yeah, but his car, still there, unlocked. And Max and the narrator look inside. And there it is. Her Wii U, Max's laptop, games, DS consoles, everything that was supposedly stolen.
Oh my God, in his unlocked car, the audacity.
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
So next morning, they got his stuff out, changed the locks. But seeing his car around weeks later, that fear lingered.
Beyond the obvious trust your gut, this really shows that act of deception. He created a whole narrative, the robbery, to cover tracks while the evidence was literally feet away.
Yeah.
It forces you to confront how easily we can ignore our instincts when the threat is inside our safe zone. We want to trust people we live with.
That betrayal of trust at home it's deep. But sometimes the threat isn't outright theft, right? It's more like a slow creep, an erosion of boundaries.
Yeah.
Maybe involving someone who's struggling themselves.
That gray area is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, this next story, The Neighbor Who Knocked, from October 2016, is exactly that, an apartment community. The narrator and her roommates, Jeff, Kylie, Kristen, they meet this older neighbor. Seems mentally challenged.
Okay.
And Kylie, trying to be kind, invites him in for a soda once, just once. But that small act of kindness, it opened a door apparently. It became a daily thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, he started just letting himself in, asking specifically for Kylie at weird hours. Sometimes he'd just sit there with a narrator in total awkward silence.
That's incredibly uncomfortable and boundary crossing.
Totally. So soon they're trying to avoid him. Lights off, staying quiet when he scratches or knocks at the door.
Yeah.
Which is already bad enough. But then they find these drawings taped to their door. Distorted pictures of each roommate, even their cat.
Okay, that's moved from awkward to genuinely disturbing fixation.
Definitely. So they go to the landlords. What do the landlords say? Call the police.
Which they were hesitant to do.
Yeah, they felt conflicted because of his apparent disability, didn't want to escalate it that way if they didn't have to. So their strategy became just ghosting him, completely ignoring him.
Which can sometimes backfire.
It did here. He started leaving this sign language booklet outside their door, filled with these scratchy, unsettling notes. poems,
Yeah.
messages in different languages, and finally just this angry letter saying, "I'm very angry with you."
Wow.
They just kept ghosting him, though, and eventually, thankfully, he stopped.
This really highlights that awful dilemma, doesn't it? That compassion fatigue meets boundary erosion. Your instinct is to protect yourself, but there's this societal pressure for empathy, especially with perceived vulnerability.
All right.
And when the official systems, like landlords, offer no real solution for that persistent low-level harassment, it leaves victims in this vacuum. Strategies like ghosting seem like the only option, but as we saw, it can just intensify the aggressor's frustration, the psychological impact of having your home's safety just slowly chipped away like that. It's immense.
It really is. But sometimes the threat isn't slow, it's sudden, terrifying,
Yep.
and from a place you'd never expect. This third story, The Bullet Through the Window, happened when the narrator was a kid, at home, one summer evening,
Okay.
around 10 p.m., just a loud pop. Didn't know what it was. But later, her dad and stepmom find this small, neat hole in her bedroom window, and the blinds behind it. They realize pretty quick what it looks like.
A bullet hole.
Yeah. Police come, they investigate, and the truth is just shocking and sad, really. The bullet came from their elderly neighbor.
The neighbor, why?
He had Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. He apparently got confused, thought the family was partying, being too loud, which they weren't. But in his confusion, he grabbed a gun. To teach them a lesson, he said. Fired it through his fence, right towards her window.
Oh my God, that's horrifying.
And for the narrator, two things stuck with her. One, they never found the bullet. It's just somewhere in the room or the wall.
Chilling.
And two, the police told her straight up, she had a chance of dying that night. If her bed had been positioned differently, if she'd been standing up, a few inches were the difference.
Wow.
The only remotely funny thing she said was that the bullet hit the frame of a Van Halen poster right at the drummer's crotch. Small mercies, I guess.
But mostly, it's just a stark reminder of the unpredictable dangers that can come from severe cognitive decline. Even in a quiet neighborhood, it really shows how fragile that sense of safety is. Inches, moments, the difference between a close call and absolute tragedy.
Yeah.
It shatters that feeling of security at home. And it does make you think about community awareness, recognizing and addressing potential dangers from unchecked mental deterioration before something awful happens.
Okay, so we've talked about threats inside the home. Now let's shift focus a bit to that relentless, unwanted attention. Stalking. When someone's interest crosses the line into obsession and it just casts this shadow over your life.
It's a profound violation of personal freedom and safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this next story is unusual. It's called The Creeper's Perspective.
Yeah.
It's actually from the guy who did the stalking, looking back on it. He was in his early 20s at the time.
It's a rare perspective to get.
It is. He talks about his background, overprotective parents, really bad social awkwardness, anxiety, being bullied. He said he was decently attractive, but just couldn't form healthy relationships, had this huge need for attention, affection, but no idea how to handle it.
So deep-seated issues fueling the behavior.
Seems like it. His obsession focused on a local female DJ. He started tracking her everywhere online, all her social media, even personal pages. Convinced himself she was the perfect girl because they liked some of the same music, stuff like that.
Building her up in his head.
Totally. At first, it was kind of innocent seeming interactions, song requests. He even got a shout out on here once, but then it changed. He couldn't bring himself to actually talk to her at concerts, put her on this pedestal, he said, so he'd just get drunk instead. Then one night, a coworker kind of pushed them together while he was drunk, and it actually went okay.
Okay.
But his sober attempt, he asked her to lunch. It was super awkward. And he ended it by blurting out he might be falling for her. Which, yeah, understandably freaked her out.
Understandably. That's way too much. Way too soon.
Right. So the escalation after that was fast. He apologized 1,000 times on Facebook.
Yeah.
She blocked him. He got angry, rationalized it. I was never really anything but nice to her. Classic.
That distorted thinking is common. Blaming the victim.
Yeah. Then it moved offline. He started showing up at the store where she worked part-time, waiting for her after her late-night radio show, The Final Straw. He followed her home one night.
Oh, wow. Crossing a major line.
Big time. She called the police. He got arrested. Ended up with probation, a restraining order. But, and this is important, he says court-ordered therapy helped him manage his anxiety and depression. He's in a healthy relationship now and says he haven't creeped on anyone since.
Oh, what's good there is intervention and therapy. This story really breaks down that line between attraction and unhealthy, dangerous obsession. You see how the insecurities, the social issues, the poor emotional regulation, it all spirals into crossing these severe boundaries.
Yeah.
It also underscores how vital legal intervention and therapy can be. Not just for the victim's safety, but for potentially redirecting the stalker's behavior, addressing those root causes. It offers accountability and sometimes a path away from that destructive pattern.
From the stalker's view to the victim's. This next one takes us to Frankfurt, Germany, October 2018. A woman, late 20s, traveling alone.
Solo travel presents its own set of vulnerabilities.
For sure. She's walking in a park.
Oh.
And she sees something unsettling. A man touching himself near an underground fountain. She tries to ignore it, changes direction.
Smart move, disengage.
But then she gets this chilling feeling, looks around, and realizes he's actively tracking her. He'd done this wide loop to try and cut her off.
Okay, that's deliberate. Predatory.
Yeah. Her head is telling her, maybe I'm imagining it, but her gut is screaming, danger, especially because she was thinking about taking this path through some dense woods. Her intuition told her no.
Listening to that gut feeling is crucial.
So she does something clever. She turns around completely, takes a wide open path where there are more people, and she pretends to be on a video call on her phone, like actively talking to someone.
Creating a deterrent, making herself seem less isolated.
Exactly. And it worked. A little later, she sees him up on this hill path, clearly looking for her. Her bright red hair made her easy to spot, she realized. That confirmed it. He was definitely after her.
Wow. That must have been terrifying confirmation.
Yeah. But she felt a bit safer with people around, so she decided to kind of test him, see how far he'd follow while she stayed in public view. Eventually, she went up a hill where there was no cover for him to hide, and she lost him.
Good thinking. Using the environment to her advantage.
Her big takeaway. Simple. Trust your gut. That intuition fought against her logical brain trying to dismiss it, and it absolutely saved her from a potentially horrible situation.
This story just hammers home that need for heightened situational awareness, especially when traveling solo. Predators often test boundaries, look for isolation, they count on you doubting yourself. And her tactics, changing routes, faking the call, seeking open spaces, these are really valuable practical steps anyone can take. It begs the question, though, how often do we try to rationalize away that primal warning sign?
It's a scary thought. Okay, one more in this segment. I'm a Chihuahua. This happened to a college sophomore in Manhattan.
Okay, urban environment, different dynamic.
Totally. She describes herself as friendly, maybe a bit too trusting. Learned a hard lesson here. She's walking to a flea market, starts chatting in Spanish with this older, kind of nondescript guy. And totally heartless.
Benign interaction.
Yeah, but then he starts following her, matching her pace exactly, crossing the street when she crosses it. She tries to shake him off in the busy flea market, thinks she lost him. Relief. But then she spots him. He's like chatting up one of the vendors, making friends. And the vendor points her out to him.
That's chilling. Using others, blending in.
So creepy. But the climax is just bizarre. She's walking down Broadway, crowded sidewalks. She's actually on the phone with her friend Jen, partly so she has a witness. And suddenly, the guy darts forward, grabs her right ankle.
Grabs her ankle!
Yeah. Holds on to it. And he's got this huge grin on his face, looks totally gleeful, and he just shouts, "I'm a Chihuahua."
What?
"I'm a Chihuahua." That's what he said. She was horrified, obviously. Yanked her foot away and just ran. And she noted, nobody on that busy street did anything.
The bystander effect in action.
Yeah.
And just sheer weirdness.
Total weirdness.
This really shows the unpredictability of stranger encounters in cities. Benign chat turns into following, then physical contact, then this utterly bizarre act. The insight here, I think, is the weaponization of the absurd.
Weaponization of the absurd.
Yeah. The Chihuahua comment, the grabbing the ankle, it's so strange, so out of context. It disorients the victim. But it also creates confusion for bystanders. Is this serious? Is it a joke? A prank? That ambiguity makes people hesitate to intervene. It feeds right into the bystander effect. This kind of non-normative aggression can be uniquely disarming, making the victim feel even more isolated.
Okay, let's move into our final segment. These are encounters that really push the limits, where people's behavior is profoundly disturbing, erratic. It blurs the lines between maybe mental illness, malice, or something just inexplicable. Stories from the edge.
These can be the most frightening because they often defy logic.
Absolutely. This first one, creepy Dollar Tree encounter, happened just 5 months ago. High school senior. He admits he was a little stoned, goes into a Dollar Tree alone.
Okay, judgment slightly impaired, potentially.
Right. And he immediately feels like he's being watched.
Yeah.
That intense feeling, tries to shake it off, thinks it's just anxiety from being high. But then he turns around, and there's this scrawny dude just staring at him from behind an aisle. Yeah. Then the guy approaches him, calls him Derek, which isn't his name. Acts like they know each other, but his speech is slurred. His eyes look crazy.
Clearly something's wrong with this guy.
Definitely. And it escalates incredibly fast. First, weird verbal threats. Something like, soft my fat fingers and make me eat them. Just bizarre.
What does that even mean?
No idea. But then bam. Sudden physical violence. The guy breaks a glass Sprite bottle over the narrator's shoulder and tries to choke him. Leaves a cut on his neck.
Whoa. From staring to attempted strangulation in seconds.
Instantaneous. Adrenaline kicks in. The narrator manages to shove the guy hard, knocks him to the ground. The attacker gets up and runs out of the store.
Thank God he could react that quickly.
Yeah, but he decides not to call the police. Partly because he was stoned, didn't want to deal with that. The cashier was actually nice, let him keep his drinks, offered Band-Aids.
Okay. But is that the end of it?
No, that's the terrifying part. He walks out of the Dollar Tree, and the guy's waiting for him. Waiting. And he has a large pocket knife out. He just starts sprinting towards the narrator.
Oh my God, knife attack.
Pure terror. The narrator sprints to his car. Thankfully, it was unlocked. Jumps in, locks the doors, speeds away. He said the stress and fear were so intense, he just broke down crying afterward.
I can't blame him. That's absolutely terrifying. This highlights that vulnerability when your judgment is impaired, even slightly. But more than that, it's the sheer unpredictability of unprovoked aggression.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
Especially from someone clearly disturbed or under the influence. There's no reasoning, no de-escalation possible sometimes. It demands immediate, instinctual self-preservation, survival mode. And those psychological scars, the fear, they last long after the physical danger is gone.
Definitely sounds like it.
Okay.
Next story. This one is complex and deeply unsettling. Matthew and the Demon, set at a vacation Bible school, of all places.
Okay, interesting setting.
We have Matthew, 15 years old, described as socially awkward, kind of obsessed with Michael Jackson. His cousins, Emily and Eric, tell conflicting stories about his past. The narrator writing this initially just thinks Matthew is a notorious liar.
So reliability is immediately in question.
Right. But then Emily drops this bombshell. She claims Matthew is sometimes possessed by a demon.
Whoa. Okay.
He describes episodes where he convulses, his eyes turn pitch black, and he gets this sickening smile. The narrator is skeptical, thinking, medical issue, maybe he's faking. But other people apparently confirmed his eyes did change color dramatically from light blue to very dark brown.
That's a specific and unusual detail, the eye color change.
Extremely. Then there's a string of just weird incidents. Matthew zoning out completely during games, totally unresponsive, being found staring at a wall at 5 a.m., money going missing.
Okay, increasingly erratic behavior.
And Emily has this really creepy encounter. Matthew comes into her room late at night, just stares at her. She gets freaked out, leaves, goes downstairs. He follows her back up, stops in a dark hallway, and starts slowly banging his head against the wall, whispering, "I'm not trying to scare you or anything."
That is incredibly unnerving, calculatedly creepy.
But the most disturbing part involves a 12-year-old girl named Lena. Matthew starts texting her, says he's in love with her. Then he starts texting her as the demon.
Oh, no, that's grooming territory, manipulation.
Exactly. The demon texts say it doesn't like Lena because she's nice to Matthew. The narrator finds out, intervenes. Later, Matthew gives Lena this really uncomfortable and strange hug, saying the texts weren't his fault. Then he sends a final message saying he's taking time away.
Wow. Using a demon as an excuse for his behavior towards a minor.
Yeah. The narrator wonders, multiple personality disorder? Could explain the eye color, maybe. Schizophrenia. Or just a really twisted way to get attention and manipulate people. She ultimately decides he's just sick in a bad way.
This story is just tangled, isn't it? Discerning a genuine mental health crisis from deliberate, manipulative, potentially predatory behavior is incredibly hard, especially with supernatural claims thrown in. The crucial insight here is recognizing the extreme danger of emotional manipulation and grooming, especially targeting children, exploiting vulnerability, using bizarre excuses like possession. It's deeply concerning. It really pushes us to think critically about explanations for strange behavior and prioritize protecting those who are vulnerable.
It's a very murky, disturbing situation. Okay, our final story takes us to Luxembourg. Sacred Forest. Another solo travel account.
Seems to be a recurring theme, vulnerability while traveling alone.
Yeah. This woman ventures into this beautiful forest, admits she was unprepared wearing ballet flats, not hiking boots. And she encounters this woman, seems ordinary, maybe in her 30s, but the woman immediately confronts her.
Confronts her about what?
About her shoes, believe it or not. Starts screaming at her, "How dare you show up here like this? This forest is sacred. You can't come in here wearing shoes like that."
Okay. Intense reaction over footwear.
The narrator tries to apologize. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." But the woman just ignores her. Starts following her, still screaming.
Following her and screaming, that's escalating.
And then the screaming turns
Yeah.
religious
Yeah?
and threatening. "You're going to regret it. Jesus Christ is protecting the forest. God knows I have forsaken this forest, and I am a traitor and a sinner," just railing against herself and the narrator. "Then you are not going to make it out of this forest. He sent me to find you. He will give you the punishment you deserve."
Whoa. Direct threats invoking divine punishment. That's terrifying, especially in an isolated forest.
Absolutely. But the narrator said something interesting. Despite being terrified, the fact that the punishment was supposedly up to God gave her this weird tiny bit of relief. It wasn't like the woman said she was going to inflict it directly.
An odd detail to cling to, but maybe it helped her stay calm.
Maybe. She managed to maintain eye contact, didn't run immediately, just waited for the woman to eventually turn and walk away, and she booked it out of there. Never saw her again.
This throws us right into an encounter with someone clearly experiencing severe delusions, likely psychosis, in an isolated place. The key takeaway is the absolute challenge of de-escalation when someone is that detached from reality.
Right. Logic doesn't work.
Exactly. Reasoning is futile against those kinds of religiously charged, irrational threats. The narrator's ability to remain relatively calm, assess her escape options, and basically wait out the immediate confrontation highlights that critical need for pure self-preservation when communication completely breaks down. Sometimes you just have to survive the encounter with the unhinged #tag outro.
Wow. Okay. Those stories, they definitely leave a mark, don't they? The Dollar Tree attack, the neighbor with dementia, the roommate, the stalkers, the woods. It's a lot.
It really is. They all underscore in different ways these core themes we've touched on.
Yeah, like trusting that gut feeling, even when it seems illogical. Setting boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable or complicated. And just that constant need for situational awareness. The world can be unpredictable.
And these accounts serve as potent reminders, I think, that the threat isn't always some obvious monster lurking in the shadows. Often it's someone who seems ordinary.
The new roommate, the neighbor, the person you chat with briefly in a park.
Exactly. So the real challenge isn't just spotting overt danger. It's also learning to discern those subtle shifts in behavior, the ones that might precede something worse. It leaves you with a question, really. What signals do you instinctively pick up on? And maybe more importantly, are you actually listening to them before it's too late?
That is a powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us for this particularly chilling deep dive. We hope these stories and insights give you something to reflect on about your own experiences, your own instincts.
Stay aware.
Definitely. For more unsettling stories and explorations into the darker side of things, please do like, share, and subscribe to Horror Docx. Until next time, stay safe out there.